So today we finally finished the budget process, which is a very long process to say the least. This will be my last budget in this chamber, and it has been a great process to say the least. I've enjoyed working with a lot of our colleagues, a lot of my team members on the Democratic side, and had an opportunity to work with our chairwoman from Livonia as well. I'm going to vote no today on this budget. I do think there are some good things within this budget, but I also know that we missed an opportunity to make this budget the best that it could be. And so I begin with an important question for each of my colleagues here today. After reviewing this year's budget, what does it show about this body's priorities? Let's begin with the line items that are noticeably absent from this year's budget. So the state catastrophically failed the people of Flint. We saw that not too long ago when folks were chanting in the gallery. And as a result of this bureaucratic failure after bureaucratic failure, not only was an entire city poisoned, but they will still be under a water advisory for at a minimum another 2 years. Then we take bottled water out of Flint. Again, let's rewind. They will be under a water advisory for another 2 years. We take bottled water out of Flint and allow a corporation to pay a nominal fee of $200 and ship millions of bottles of water out of our state.
Representative, I'm going to respectfully ask that you limit your remarks to the substance of the legislation before us. Thank you, sir. Chair recognizes Representative Durhal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I respectfully ask a little bit of latitude as well, considering this is the last budget. So when we talk about priorities, how all of us here should understand what our priorities are, let's talk about roads. Number one complaint we hear from our constituents are about roads. We should be fixing roads. Didn't do that here in this budget as well. Unemployment insurance fraud. Thousands of Michigan residents falsely accused of unemployment fraud. Unjust accusations of unemployment fraud. No money in here to create a fund to make these families whole again. We worked for months cooperating in a bipartisan manner to reform the UIA to provide these Michigan residents relief. Yet, you wouldn't know that today based on today's budget. Let's go back to roads. Let's talk about it again. How they're so riddled with potholes that many of us in this chamber, let alone our thousands of constituents, have shelled out ridiculous sums to pay for their repairs that are caused by bad roads. No money in there. Not enough money. Let's talk about how families who are already struggling to get by can be completely derailed by an unexpected blown tire or bent axle. You guys get the calls to your office all the time like I do. Let's talk about how this body has already had to clean up for the failed 2015 roads plan failure by allocating additional funding this year for our roads, when we had the opportunity to do it in the first place. Yet, when we look at this budget and we talk about priorities, where are our priorities? What do you think this budget is telling the people of the state of Michigan? And what do you think it's saying? I can tell you what it's saying, Mr. Speaker. I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed working through it. I was hopeful that we can get some things done and really put Michigan's people first in this budget. But I believe, in a sense, it's despicable, it's outrageous. And unless you want to hear your constituents, continue to talk about some of these problems that plague our state, like the roads, or being falsely accused, things that are our fault as legislators, I would recommend a no vote on this budget. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.